A mightier task remained than all he had done. To that he turned, from which all being comes, a sign attending from the secrecy which knows the truth ungrasped behind our thoughts and guards the world with its all-seeing gaze. In the unapproachable stillness of his soul, intense, one-pointed, monumental, lone, patient he sat like an incarnate hope, motionless on a pedestal of prayer. A strength he sought that was not yet on earth, help from a power too great for mortal will, the light of a truth now only seen afar, a sanction from his high omnipotent source. But from the appalling heights there stooped no voice. The timeless lids were closed, no opening came. A neutral, helpless void oppressed the years. In the texture of our bound humanity, he felt this stark resistance, huge and dumb, of our inconscient and unseeing base, this stubborn, mute rejection in life's depths, the ignorant know in the origin of things. A veiled collaboration with the night, even in himself survived and hid from his view. Still something in his earthly being kept its kinship with the inconscient, whence it came. A shadowy unity with a vanished past, treasured in an old world frame, was lurking there, secret, unnoted by the illumined mind, and in subconscious whispers and in dream, still murmured at the mind's and spirit's choice. Its treacherous elements spread like slippery grains, hoping the incoming truth might stumble and fall, and old ideal voices, wandering, moaned and pleaded for a heavenly leniency to the gracious imperfections of our earth and the sweet weaknesses of our mortal state. This now he willed to discover and exile, the element in him betraying God. All nature's recondite spaces were stripped bare, all her dim crypts and corners searched with fire, where refugee instincts and unshaped revolts could shelter, find in darkness sanctuary against the white purity of heaven's cleansing flame. All seemed to have perished that was undivine. Yet some minutest dissident might escape, and still a center lurk of the blind force. For the inconscient too is infinite. The more its abysses we insist to sound, the more it stretches endlessly. Then, lest a human cry should spoil the truth, it tore desire up from its bleeding roots and offered to the gods the vacant place. Thus could he bear the touch immaculate. A last and mightiest transformation came. His soul was all in front, like a great sea, flooding the mind and body with its waves. His being spread to embrace the universe, united the within and the without, to make of life a cosmic harmony, an empire of the immanent divine. In this tremendous universality, not only his soul nature and mind sense included every soul and mind in his, but even the life of flesh and nerve was changed, and grew one flesh and nerve with all that lives. He felt the joy of others as his joy, he bore the grief of others as his grief. His universal sympathy upbore, immense like ocean, the creation's Lord, as earth upbears all beings as sacrifice, thrilled with the hidden transcendence joy and peace. There were no more divisions, endless scroll. One grew the Spirit's secret unity, all nature felt again the single bliss. There was no cleavage between soul and soul. There was no barrier between world and God. Overpowered were form and memory's limiting line. The covering mind was seized and torn apart. It was dissolved, and now no more could be the one consciousness that made the world was seen. All now was luminosity and force. Abolished in its last thin fainting trace, the circle of the little self was gone. The separate being could no more be felt. It disappeared and knew itself no more, lost in the Spirit's wide identity. His nature grew a movement of the all, exploring itself to find that all was he. His soul was a delegation of the all that turned from itself to join the one supreme. Transcended was the human formula. Man's heart, that had obscured the inviolable, assumed the mighty beating of a god's. His seeking mind seized in the truth that knows. His life was a flow of the universal life. He stood fulfilled on the world's highest line, awaiting the ascent beyond the world, awaiting the descent, the world to say. A splendor and a symbol wrapped the earth, serene epiphanies looked and hallowed vasts surrounded. Wise infinitudes were close, and bright remoteness leaned near and kin. Sense failed in that tremendous lucency. Ephemeral voices from his hearing fell, and thought potent no more, sank large and pale like a tired god into mysterious seas. The robes of mortal thinking were cast down, leaving his knowledge bare to absolute sight. Fate's driving ceased, and nature's sleepless spur, the athlete heavings of the will were stilled in the omnipotence unmoving peace. Life in his members lay down vast and mute. Naked, unwalled, unterrified, it bore the immense regard of immortality. The last movement died, and all at once grew still. A weight that was the unseen transcendence hand laid on his limbs, the Spirit's measureless seal. Infinity swallowed him into shoreless trance. as one who sets his sail towards the mysterious shores, driven to huge oceans by the breath of God, the fathomless below, the unknown around, his soul abandoned the blind star-filled space. Afar from all that makes the measure world, plunging to hidden eternities, it withdrew. Back from mind's foaming surface to the vast, voiceless within us, in omniscient sleep. Above the imperfect reach of word and thought, beyond this sight, the last support of form, lost in deep tracts of superconscient light, or voyaging in blank featureless nothingness, soul in the trackless, incommensurable, or past, not self and selflessness, transgressing the dream shores of conscious mind, he reached at last his sempiternal base. On sorrowless heights, no winging cry disturbs, pure and untouched, above the mortal clay is spread the spirit's hushed, immobile yard. There no beginning is, and there no end. There is the stable force of all that moves. There the yawning laborer is at rest. There turns no keyed creation in the void, no giant mechanism watched by a soul. There creaks no fate-turned huge machinery. The marriage of evil with good within one breast, the clash of strife in the very clasp of love, the dangerous pain of life's experiment in the values of inconsequence and chance, the peril of mind's gamble, throwing our lives as stake in a wager of indifferent gods, and the shifting lights and shadows of the idea falling upon the surface consciousness, and in the dream of a mute witness soul creating the error of a half-seen world where knowledge is a seeking ignorance, life's steps a stumbling series without sweep, its aspect of fortuitous design, its equal measure of the true and false, in that immobile and immutable realm, find no excess, no cause, no right to live. There only reigns the Spirit's motionless power, poised in itself through still eternity, and its omniscient and omnipotent peace. Thought clashes not with thought, and truth with truth. There is no war of right with rival right. There are no stumbling and half-seeing lives, passing from chance to unexpected chance, no suffering of hearts compelled to beat in bodies of the inert inconscience made. Armed with the immune occult, unsinking fire, the guardians of eternity keep its law forever fixed upon truth's giant base in her magnificent and charmless home. There nature on a dumb spiritual couch, immutably transcendent, knows her source, and to the stir of multitudinous worlds ascends unmoved in a perpetual calm, all causing all-sustaining and aloof. The witness looks from his unshaken poise, an eye immense regarding all things done. Apart, at peace, above creation's star, immersed in the eternal altitudes, he abode, defended in his soulless self, companioned only by the all-seeing One. A mind too mighty to be bound by thought, a life too boundless for the play in space, a soul without borders, unconvinced of time. He felt the extinction of the world's long pain. He became the unborn self that never dies. He joined the sessions of infinity. On the cosmic marmot, primal loneliness fell, and nulled was the contact formed with time-born things. Empty grew nature's wide community. All things were brought back to their formless seed. The world was silent for a cyclic hour. Although the afflicted nature he had left maintained beneath him her broad, numberless fields, her enormous act, receding, failed remote, as if a soulless dream at last had ceased. No voice came down from the high silences, none answered from her desolate solitudes. A stillness of cessation reigned, the wide, immortal hush before the gods were born. A universal force awaited, mute, the veiled transcendence, ultimate decree. Then suddenly there came a downward loop, as if a sea exploring its own depths. A living oneness widened at its core and joined him to unnumbered multitudes. A bliss, a life, a power, a flame-white love caught all into a soul immense embrace. Existence found its truth on oneness breast, and each became the self and space of all. The great world rhythms were heartbeats of one soul. To feel was a flame discovery of God. All mind was a single harp of many strings. All life a song of many meeting lives. For worlds were many, but the self was one. This knowledge was now made a cosmos seed. This seed was cased in the safety of the light. It needed not a sheet of ignorance. Then, from the trance of that tremendous clasp, and from the throbbings of that single heart, and from the naked spirit's victory, a new and marvelous creation rose. Incalculable outflowing infinitudes, laughing out an unmeasured happiness, lived their innumerable unity. Worlds where the being is unbound and wide, bodied unthinkably the egoless self. Rapture of beatific energies joined time to the timeless poles of a single joy. Wide vasts were seen, where all is wrapped in all. There were no contraries, no sundered parts. All by spiritual links were joined to all and bound indissolubly to the one. Each was unique, but took all lives as its own, and following out these tones of the infinite, recognized in himself the universe. A splendid center of infinity's world, pushed to its zenith's height, its last expanse, felt the divinity of its own self-bliss, repeated in its numberless other selves. It took up tirelessly into its scope persons and figures of the impersonal, as if prolonging in a celestial count, in a rapturous multiplications of sum, the recurring decimals of eternity. None was apart, none lived for himself alone. Each lived for God in him and God in all. Each soulness inexpressibly held the whole. Their oneness was not tied to monotone. It showed 1,000 aspects of itself. Its luminous, immutable stability, upbore on a changeless ground, forever safe, compelled to a spontaneous servitude the ever-changing, incalculable steps, the seeming reckless dances, subtle plan of immense world forces in their perfect play. Appearance looked back to its hidden truth and made of difference oneness smiling play. It made all persons fractions of the unique, yet all were beings, secret integers. All struggle was turned to a sweet strife of love in the harmonized circle of a sure embrace. Identity's reconciling happiness gave a rich security to difference. On a meeting line of hazardous extremes, the game of games was played to its breaking point, where, through self-finding, by divine self-loss, there leaps out unity's supreme delight, whose blissful, undivided sweetness feels a commonality of the Absolute. There was no sob of suffering anywhere. Experience ran from point to point of joy. Bliss was the pure, undying truth of things. All nature was a conscious front of God. A wisdom worked in all, self-moved, self-sure, a plenitude of illimitable light, an authenticity of intuitive truth, a glory and passion of creative force. Infallible, leaping from eternity, the moment's thought inspired the passing act. A word, a laughter sprang from silence's breast, a rhythm of beauty in the calm of space, a knowledge in the fathomless heart of time. All turned to all, without reserve's recoil. A single ecstasy without a breath. Love was a close and thrilled identity in the throbbing heart of all that luminous life. A universal vision that unites, a sympathy of nerve replying to nerve, hearing that listens to thought's inner sound and follows the rhythmic meanings of the heart, a touch that needs not hands to feel, to clasp, were there. the native means of consciousness, and heightened the intimacy of soul with soul. A grand orchestra of spiritual powers, a diapason of soul interchange, harmonized a oneness deep, immeasurable. In these new worlds projected, he became a portion of the universal gaze, a station of the all-inhabiting light, a ripple on a single sea of peace. His mind answered to countless communing minds. His words were syllables of the cosmos speech, his life a field of the vast cosmic stir. He fell to the footsteps of a million wills, moving in unison to a single goal. A stream, ever newborn, that never dies, caught in its thousandfold currents, ravishing flow, with its eddies of immortal sweetness thrilled, he bore, coiling through his members as they passed, calm movements of interminable delight, the bliss of a myriad myriads who are one.